Okay, so it is 7 o'clock, October 12th, 2023, calling the meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Flores,
Here.
Gonzalez,
Here.
Hussein,
Here.
Jost. No. Masajet, here. Letier, here. Kuzo, here.
First up, I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from September, it says 13. It was 14. It says 13.
Oh.
That's okay.
But it says 14 on the.
Yes, on the minutes, just
Sorry.
Second.
September 14, 2023. Thank you.
All those in,
Any questions, corrections?
all those in favor of approving the minutes from September 14th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Next, public comments, agenda items only. It's just us tonight. President's report. I don't have anything. So committee reports will, finance is up first.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports for September 2023.
Second.
Okay, the general ledger, any questions?
Why do we still have money in Fifth Third again?
Because that's what they're paying the loan out of.
Out of
So,
it,
yeah.
okay. So do we make deposits to that?
No, this was money that we kept in there,
Uh-huh.
so, just, we had enough in there to get through this year, thinking that we would get that, though that account completely closed. I just need to work with, Fifth Third about closing that account and telling them, you either have to bill us or take it directly out of our Wintrust accounts. I just haven't done it yet, so
Oh,
I do
okay.
need to do that, so that's, so once that is done, that account will go away completely.
Yeah, okay.
Outsourced Solution Groups is the consultant, right?
The IT, yeah.
Any questions on the check register? The income statement. Nothing? Beautiful thing. Okay.
All right, we'll vote on the financial reports for September 2023. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
sorry, she's not here. Masajet,
Yes.
Letier, yes. Kuzo,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
All right. So, next, facilities, the latest updates with facilities not only have been sent via email the last several weeks, but we will we have a few updates under unfinished business. Policy, I know you guys met, and there are quite a few to review, so we'll do that under new business. So staff reports, is there anything that you wanted to add or highlight to your report?
I didn't have anything additional to add unless anyone has any questions.
It was very thorough. That's what counts.
Thank you.
All that's left to do is just the painting?
Painting is almost done. He needs to finish, he's still doing some stuff internally because the trim isn't done around, on the inside of the windows. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
go look, you'll see that and most of that was just because of staffing. So an SMC carpenter was finishing that up and
Mhm.
depending on the different jobs that they're at. So
Okay.
Jason is actually on vacation this week. That's why he's not gonna be here also to talk about the elevator stuff. But he's like, do you want me to have John come? He goes, I can maybe call it. I'm like, you're on vacation. You do not have to do that, I think. So yeah, so the window trim around the two big the two bay windows, and then some exterior painting on the east side still needs to be done.
Yeah, I
And
saw
then-
that.
Yeah, so he's did some of the stuff that's up top. I think there's still a few things, but the weather's supposed to be crappy for the
Right.
next few days, so I think we'll be doing a couple things inside tomorrow, but then probably we'll just have to wait to see
Mhm.
what the weather's like next week, so. But yeah, I think the windows look great. I'm really happy with
So
the
we're
way.
completing it pretty well on time?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
I've had compliments on the windows, people have told me, like, you know.
Well, it's really noticeable.
It really
Yeah.
is, yeah, it does, it looks
Yeah.
great, so. I really hate that you had to, you even have the need to, attend the Rails bomb threats discussion, but I don't know, I guess I don't have any other words than that, but I hate that it was even something that you had to, you know,
He was caught.
Well, he's done some of them. They don't know if he's done all of them. So there were a couple of places that got them that he says he didn't do, but I think it probably, ours was one of them that he did. Skokie for sure. And then, you know, the police, schools, the Wendy's, which is where they caught him, that kind of thing. So, you know, and it was, as they say, the FBI says, it's usually some kids sitting in this basement.
yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't do the stereotype, but really,
And
you
that's
know,
what it
that,
was.
that
Yeah.
is
That's
what
what
it
it
is, so.
Yeah.
And this kind of thing, you know, that we're clearly not
Yeah.
politically motivated or anything like that, so.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to Karina, Bettina, and Jan. I mean, they, with the marketing, with the reels that Jan puts out, I mean, they're just, they make us look really good, and I just, you know, we all know they're awesome, but I just, you know, you see some of like the, you know, this, you know, that are, some of the stuff that's out on Instagram and some of the, you know, like the murder mystery one, like that was
Oh my
awesome.
God.
Oh my
That was-
God,
yes,
I was
that was
obsessed.
great.
I think I
Yeah.
watched that 10 times. I'm like,
If you
so-
haven't watched it, you guys
Please-
need to watch it,
please
it's
watch
super
it.
cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah. So, and people comment, like, they're just, you know,
Mhm.
they love it, so it's, yeah. Okay, any other questions, for Pam? Okay. So, we are moving on to the exterior renovation,
The director.
oh, sorry, director review, sorry, I skipped a, thank you. Okay, so Pam did compile a final draft of the director review of what it would look like going forward. Yeah, I think it looks great. Average rating under each category. Is everyone, you know, is everyone liking it? Yeah?
Yeah.
This is right. And again, this can be, I mean, I'm fine with it being, you know, people can submit it digitally. If you can think better and you prefer doing pen and paper, I mean, I would say let's do what you either one is fine. We'll be able to compile either way. So, but is everyone comfortable with how the format of this going forward in this?
So I did, I don't think there was any changes made to this since I had sent it out for the last comments. So you do have it electronically that way, but I can send out another email just to say, here's your clean copy if you do want to fill it out online or if you
Word document?
It is, yeah,
It is a Word?
it is a Word document, yeah.
But then who does it go to?
So that would be the thing, so, as a group, you cannot email Emily, but individually, you can email them to Emily.
To
Me.
To your trustee account? It's
To her
all-
trustee
Right.
account.
Okay.
Yeah, and just trustee Mason Jack and.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And if we are following along with the time frame, everyone would do the reviews. I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Yeah.
It's
It's up to however you wanna do it, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the time frame that was laid out in the, in the bylaws is a guideline.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't need that much time, then you can ask for them to be due to you by, I don't know, first week in November if you want, and then, because usually then in November, the board meets, they go into closed session without me.
Yeah.
And talk about it, and then
Yeah, and usually.
finalize things in December, and then.
Well, and then usually the executive committee meets before then.
I think you had them do that, like the first few days of November, then we
Right.
met that week,
Okay,
a few days before the board meeting.
okay.
The week, the second week, you're talking, oh, week.
Yeah, like we met that Monday and then we had the board meeting on Thursday or something like that in the
Okay.
past. But
So how about we say, so, you know, these are your copies, Pam can send out, it via email as well too. So if you want to, you can either send it to me via email, if you prefer pen and paper, then let's do it the way that you would put it in a sealed envelope, drop it off with Suzanne with my name on it, I'll pick it up, and let's have them, you know, is like a November 1st deadline reasonable?
What day is that?
That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
it's just like shy of 3 weeks.
Just, yeah. So,
You'll be back?
So November?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
yeah. Okay. Any, everyone good with that? And then please also, there's progress towards, goals that Pam completed, so that would probably be a useful
Thank you.
tool as you, complete your review. Okay. So, now we'll go to exterior renovation, maintenance update. So, first up, I'm gonna open this up and then we can discuss if needed. I'll make a motion to approve the SMC pay application number 2.
Second.
The amount of, it's a 192,
Right.
$192,242.30.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions?
And that's the check I just sent you.
Yes, we haven't mailed it out, so I wanted to go to that
Yeah.
board official review, even though the budget had been approved, but
Yeah.
the big ones are like, they can go like that again.
Pam said the budget has been, yeah, has been approved for this, but this, you know, the kind of breakdown of what this includes is, you know, in the packet, you know, second page, you can kind of see the breakdown. You can see a difference, I mean, the windows were a really big visual difference too, but I have taken a walk around the outside of the building and it is.
You can tell.
You can
I
tell.
didn't think that you'd be able to, but I agree, I think it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, ooh, tough cleaning.
It makes a difference, though.
It
It makes
does.
it really pretty.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction, I'm like, okay, it's not glamorous, but this tuck pointing is great.
Yeah.
It looks so much
Good job
better.
versus a not a good job, because my
Yeah.
dad did his
Yes.
own and I was like,
Yeah,
not
they
good.
did a good, they did a really nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like where the shutters were taken, everything
Yes.
looks, you don't even know, you don't miss them, and it just looks
No.
clean.
It looks
Yeah,
clean,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm really pleased with the way it turned out.
Yeah, my kids can't find things right 3 feet in front of them, and they noticed that the windows had changed. Like, wow, yeah, we replaced those.
It really, I mean,
Surprised
you
you
can see,
noticed.
you can see in better, so you can see, look at, there's activity and you can see out better.
Yeah,
and it's
you
just-
can.
And
Yeah.
there's just better quality and,
Yeah.
everything, so.
Yeah, it does. Any questions about this pay packet or pay application?
Okay, we'll vote on the application number 2. Hussein?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Guzzo?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
All right, next up, I will make a motion to approve the elevator modernization bid in the amount of $241,300.
That would be for the, that's for the whole budget.
That's the whole
Yeah,
project.
which is fine, yeah.
Is that it would be better to approve now? Or do you-
I think what you should probably do is approve, the recommendation to award, and that's
Okay.
in the amount of the 163.
The 163.
Right, and then, because that, we're actually approving that, we're gonna go with Collie
Yeah.
Elevator, and then I would make a second motion to approve the overall budget.
Okay, so we'll make so let's first make a motion, what was the word you used?
Can you do that elevator modernization with Cali Elevator?
You could do like, make a motion to approve the overall budget in 241,000.
Okay.
With, Collie Elevator, 163 or something, if you wanna make it in one motion, we can just get there.
Okay, all right, so the motion to approve the elevator modernization bid, total project in the amount of $241,370. If it's cleaner, we can just do separate motions.
Let's do two.
All right, so there's that. So I need a second for that one.
Second.
Thank you.
Who seconded? Was that you, Carla?
Yes.
Okay, Mason Jack?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Guzzo?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hussein?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I will make a motion to approve, the bid package from Cali Elevator in the amount of $163,852.
Second.
Okay, Pelletier, yes. Guzzo?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hussein?
Yes.
Mason Jack?
Yes. Did not realize how much it was. Really that expensive?
This is coming out of the 2024 budget.
Yes, but we're starting now because
Right.
we kind of worked backwards from when we wanted to have the work done.
Right.
To minimize, and we wanted it done way before summer reading, obviously. I mean, there's never a good time, but, you know, we figured fewer programs usually around that time of the year, it gives people enough time to not plan as many programs, to think about, you know, people come in with their strollers, where are we gonna put them during that time, that sort of thing. And
Well, I
just
think that's a
to-
thoughtful way to plan it,
Well, no.
because
So-
you know
No,
how
this
much.
is
So,
fine, but I
so
was
he's
just-
kind of just moving backwards from when we wanted to do the work, and then, you know, it's based on recommendations from SMC in terms of the timing and, you know, how long it takes to do everything, to
Yeah,
prepare.
yeah, okay, just wanted to make sure it was.
Yeah, it's 2024.
Okay. All right.
Pam, can you just speak a little bit to construction contingency? I don't remember other projects having something.
They did.
They
Yeah.
did?
Yes,
Oh.
and the 10% is pretty typical.
Oh,
You probably weren't paying that much attention to it during like the renovation for the Wise Department, because we used every single bit of the contingency. So the contingency is there if there's unexpected costs that come up. 10% is usually a typical amount that they put in for that. That way, the board is aware that we might spend that money, we've budgeted for it, but if they don't have to use it, then that money goes back to us. Obviously, we're not booked for it, so, there has been that contingency in everything that we've done with the construction management firm. it's mostly just to kind of cover
I
your.
just was bowled over by the total cost of this elevator, so then I started looking at all the
Yeah.
components of it, and I was
Yeah.
like, do we
The-
really
You know,
need
the
it?
hope is that the contingencies money that have been set aside that we won't
Comes
need and
back to
that will
us.
come back to us. But I'd rather that we budget for it and not need it than to have something happen and we have to all of a sudden come up with an additional, $10,000 to $30,000 depending on what happens. And the elevator is 50 years old,
Yeah.
so.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have had some issues, and it had been strongly recommended to us that we do this sooner rather than later. And so I'd rather we plan for it than have something, kind of catastrophic happen with it, and then, then we don't have time to plan, or we're adding
Right.
that much time, because look at how much time it's taken to do all these other things. We still would have to go through that same process if something happened, and we had to address it on an emergency basis, so yeah, they're not cheap. This will be probably, depending on which budget amount the board approves and stuff, this will probably be the major project that we do next year, so. And then subsequent years will, tackle some of the other things that are still on our list.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is everything, it's not just the interior, it's the motor, it's everything,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So that brings us to the 2024 budget, final reading and approval.
The budget,
So, Pam did prepare 2 letters ready to go out to the village. One in the amount for a 3% levy, one for the amount of a 3.5% levy. As you remember from our last meeting, it suggested that we do at least 3% levy. I did bring, just in case anyone liked that, how it broke down per household. So a 3% increase is $11.43. 3.5% increase is $13.33. So if that helps kind of break it down in your head as well too. I have some thoughts, but I wanted to hear where everyone is feeling in terms of 3 versus 3.5.
I'm good with 3.5.
I'm not for the 3.5, I'll tell you right now, but I'm afraid of this elevator. I really am, because it's a safety thing, and if we find something that has to be done, I mean, it's old.
Yeah.
I live in an old house, you want to put in a new outlet, it costs you, a lot of money because
a
it's
cascading
old.
thing,
It-
and
yeah,
right,
it
and
keeps
it's like,
going,
oh, you
keeps
have to
going.
address this.
And this
and
is an old building,
Yeah,
and it's an old elevator, so.
I'm not for the 3.5, but if we need extra money for, it bothers me, the elevator. Maybe it's just me,
It's a concern.
I feel like when, as a community, we decided not to build a new library, then we kind of committed ourselves to maintaining the existing building to as high a standard as possible for longevity and safety.
Yeah.
So, it would have been a lot worse than 3.5 if we built a new library.
Yeah.
The
Oh, right.
community would save that cost, whether you agree with that or not. So, I'm for 3.5.
Yeah.
I like leaving 3, but for the same reason, I would like the money more, so.
it's
My
the
crazy number
elevator
there.
bothers me, I'm sorry.
Do we have an idea, what's the village requesting,
I don't know what the village is requesting yet, so,
I was just curious, as long as we don't stand out, like they're
Um,
asking for 2%.
well, the village usually makes it known if we're asking for money and they're not. I will say that they've made that clear at times. There was one year that, I don't think the village stayed flat and we asked for a request and they did make a point of saying, if you see an increase, it's due to this and that's, entirely appropriate. I do not believe the village is keeping theirs flat in any way, shape or form, but I don't know what percentage increase they're looking at. So, their budget readings, I don't even know if the first one was last night. They might not be, I think they usually happen in November. So we usually get our budget to them before they start their budget process, so.
I mean, and when when you look at, you know, the majority, if you live in this area, the majority of your taxes are going to the schools. You know, I mean, that's where you see the biggest chunk, so, you know, this is, I know that we all wanna be, very thoughtful with the taxpayers' money and what we are, asking every household to contribute. But with this big elevator project, and how old this building is, and how old the elevator is, and how much of a chunk the elevator is gonna eat out of that construction budget line, I personally feel better doing a 3.5, so we have at least a little bit more of a cushion. If something else were to come up, which, as we know, can happen with our lovely old building, so, you know, so you know, it helps me also to see if it's, you know, $11.43 versus $13.33, you know, it's, you know.
The dollar amount isn't huge between 3 and 3%.
Right, which is, I mean, that's what, you know, people wanna wrap their heads around too, like, how does this affect, you know, me, how much more is this gonna affect, you know, our household, so. Did everyone feel like they got a chance to?
Nobody's gonna see they're gonna see the construction
I know.
because they're gonna be inconvenienced, but no one's gonna say, oh man, that's a beautiful elevator.
They may, cause the all of the
Well,
interior and
the
everything
inside
is
will be-
changing,
yeah, so
but yeah.
it's not like the use and
Right.
I know.
outside,
It's-
but it is what it is, it has to be done, I'm not
Yeah.
for it, but
Well, someone came up to me and said, like, the windows look great. Is there a bunch of work going on? I'm like, yeah, there is. And I'm like, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm like, there's tuck point. I'm like, okay, it's not as fun as a brand new youth services department, but like, this is like, yeah, it's been a lot of stuff. So, you know, yeah. So I know. So the elevator isn't like, you know, come see the elevator. No, ride the elevator. I mean, it's, you know, but we got to do it. It's about, you know, yeah. So,
it is what it is.
yeah, okay. So, we're gonna approve the budget. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the 2024, budget with a 3.5% levy increase. That equals property tax levy of $3,728,019. Expenditures,
You can include it, but it, I mean,
as long as I have the tax levy.
actually, I know you do need to do that, because the tax levy is just the dollar amount that
Tax
we're getting
levy.
from taxes, and then the overall budget is a 3.8.
Okay, and expenditures totaling,
Yeah.
so just keep adding on.
That second, that
So we
last,
put both figures in there?
yes,
Okay.
that last sentence in the second,
Yep.
and the 3.5 letter, showing.
Mm-hmm.
And any money's not spent on the elevator, you know, any money that either comes back to us in contingencies or, you know, with extra money, if, you know, we don't need it for the elevator, it means that we can address some other building facilities issue that we, because there's
Yeah.
not that stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. Did we have a second to that?
Sure, me.
Oh, right there,
I'll second.
Great.
Uzo?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes.
Okay, next up under, new business, I had something really quick I just wanna throw in here as well too. The November meeting date, November 9th is our next meeting date. I have a very large conference that I am running, and it goes until 6:30. I'd like to say I'd be able to be over here, and it's only Ledyard, so it's not far, but, I would either come late or we could start at like 7:15 or something like that. I'm like running a conference for 250 people and I'm very looking forward to November 10th. So, so anyway, so it's not like it's 6:30 and I can just bolt out the door at 6:30 and I can, you know, make sure everything's closed up. So I could either come a little bit late or whatever is everyone
As
comfortable.
long as we have quorum at 7,
Yeah.
should be an issue, right?
And then just Joanna's here, but she.
So, I just want.
And then usually you decide at that meeting who's gonna be the president pro tem.
Okay, so it's, just wanted to give you guys that heads up as well too, so, okay. So we're up to, policy, so policy committee met, and they went through a few meetings, so I will let someone from the policy committee take it away.
I can do it. We reviewed all the policies included in the agenda and agreed on all of the changes or tweaks that were made by Pam. Overall, I mean, we really had no issues. This was not there weren't any major policy changes. They were just adjustments to fit the way the library is functioning today. So we don't see any reason to not make the changes.
So I would say that one of you then, go ahead and make a motion, and it could be one motion to approve all.
That's what it is.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'd like to make a motion to approve, read them out?
yeah.
To approve the following policies: computer technology use, homebound services, internet access, investment, and meeting room policies. To make the changes as Pam recommended.
Second.
Flores?
Yes.
Oh, did we want to talk about them, or we?
I mean, we kinda did already, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hussein?
Yes.
Mason Jack?
Yes.
Valentieri, Puzo?
Yes.
Okay, so next up is the policy review schedule. So, not a huge change, but I feel like the main thing is
Just the timing.
just the timing. So meeting 3 times a year rather than quarterly. I mean, I think as long as we're reviewing them on a,
Yeah,
Consistent
there's only, there's one that we review annually as per the bylaws, the investment policy. The only other policy that's required by law to be reviewed, that they even say anything, is the collection development policy, and that has to be done every 2 years. Other than that, the standards pretty much just say that we review our policies periodically. So this is not changing the policy, like the every 2 years, it's just changing how many times a year that the policy committee would meet. And I chose these months because there was months that there wasn't other things going on. Lots of people, I mean, it's been difficult sometimes to meet the 4 times a year, just given the timing of those months. So, again, this kind of is in line with, it better reflects what we're actually doing, and
And we
I have to
agree.
a little cleaner. So, and then, yeah, the policy committee can speak to.
I would just agree. I mean, the schedule is exactly the way it needs to be in legal standing. So there's no pushback on that.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was too much per meeting, consolidating it to 3.
yeah. That would be my only question, as long as you feel like it doesn't make your meetings longer, or if there's too much to.
I tried to break them up in, like, policies that there may be substantive discussions with things that are just, are we changing, is there a grammatical issue or a formatting issue, those kinds of things. So I tried to make it so that there wasn't something that was like super heavy, one trimester or whatever, as opposed to another one. So I did try to break it up that way as well.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised policy review schedule.
Second.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hussein?
Yes.
Mason Jack?
Yes.
Valentieri, Puzo?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
If you're so inclined, I would suggest including this one in your binders, if you like keeping track of that kind of thing. Thank you, Policy Committee, for reviewing that. Okay, next we have what I'm gathering is a discussion on consent agenda.
Yes, we did have a trustee who asked to have this put on the agenda for discussion again. So, I have done that, so I will let the trustees discuss this, because I will do what you tell me to do.
Yeah. Well, here, I don't have a reference of what the concerns are. We did try this for a couple of months. And I think there was a mix. I think some people didn't care, and I think some people didn't like it. So please share perspectives.
I think it just makes the meeting more efficient. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Like, we're giving these packets ahead of time to read all the information ahead of time. So to come to the meeting, but either come prepared or not ready to discuss, because if you are ready to discuss, we bring it up and it gets discussed. It doesn't negate any discussion. It just means that we come to the meeting without having to review the documents again and take the time to review the documents. And again, that being said, if there's something that you reviewed that you want to discuss, it's still on the table. It doesn't take away from that. And when we have meetings where we have more substantial things to deal with, to talk about, it will make those that much more efficient. So that was my
So I think we should add it to the decennial committee as efficiencies of.
well, I mean, I don't know if you can do that, but if you
Well,
can, you should.
it's something, we can consider. I mean, I would also, so I'll just, throw it in, stuff from both sides. One, we, for the most part, have pretty efficient meetings, even without the consent agenda. I think from past consent agendas, we've had the review of board meeting minutes. Finance has been on there. Potentially something with facilities, but if it's something bigger to approve, it wouldn't be on the consent agenda. So it's not a huge chunk of the agenda. It's just kind of arguing both sides. There's also, the argument of does it look more transparent to show on video in the minutes that there is an active review of the financial records, rather than it was done, completely behind closed doors. I'm really trying to stay as Swedish as possible because I think there's points to both sides, and if the board feels that we want to try it again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But
I think it's our responsibility. I mean, the 5 minutes that we take to review financials on camera should not be reflective of the amount of time that we should actually be reviewing them prior to the meeting. So I don't think that is as much of an issue in terms of, is it more transparency? I mean, we were elected officials. We committed to serve our service to the library. Like, I expect everybody at least looks at the documents prior and isn't taking that time to call stuff out randomly. So I get it. It shaves 5 minutes maybe off of the meeting, but yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a transparency issue, but if anybody else feels that way.
Personally, I'm a pretty slow reader. I don't think I could read the financials as quickly as the time that we take here in the meeting. So if somebody were to assume that's the first time he's looking at it, I did not get all of it on the first go. I will say, so we did try it, but we tried it for 2 months.
But we didn't do it the right way, I don't think. Right? I felt like we kept asking questions.
Yeah, we
because
did.
It's hard to
We did.
We tried.
And they also happened to be pretty easy meetings.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the thing, and I was kind of surprised when our trial period was over, because we didn't really get to see the benefit.
The couple of months that we did do it happened to be really light meetings anyway, so it was difficult to see if there was a big time
gain.
savings that could
Yeah.
be. So, and would it increase the efficiency, but, yeah, I think that, I would say if the board elects to do this, I would recommend that we try it for at least 6 months, because then it gives you more breadth to say, okay, we've tried it for X number of months as opposed to just 2 meetings that happen to be pretty light in terms of.
Thank you, because my opinion was that was not a great sample of how the consent agenda should work, and that's pretty quick, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we have as positive communication enough where we can have these discussions and discuss do we think this is working, can we tweak this or not? I'm fine with, if we wanna try the consent agenda, but I would agree, let's a bigger sample period, like, maybe 6 months. I would also, if we do decide to, we can, decide to do this, I don't think we have to vote necessarily, do we?
We don't have to,
We have to
you just
vote.
have to give me direction.
But I would say, here's what I would suggest, if we wanna try this for, let's say, the next 6 months, would, like a quick little review, a bullet point kind of thing, or, I know we have probably stuff in some of our minutes earlier this, I could probably search it and you can find it too. Would it, kind of a reminder of, how the process works during the meeting, would that be helpful for everyone?
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about
Yeah.
with my job too, it's like, you just approve the consent agenda, and then all those things,
Like even like
Follow
this,
underneath, right?
even the
So-
steps of just like, so like these are the things that are gonna be reviewed under the consent agenda. If you can either email Pam ahead of time with questions, like even just like those
Yeah.
steps. And if there's something you wanna discuss during the meeting, feel free to do so, but just like those kind of reminder things, so, because it was a new procedure, I think it was something that we were all still just getting used to as well too.
So the way that it works is, so when, on the agenda, everything is still listed out.
Yep.
So what it just says though, is if you remember, it would just say consent agenda, and then everything that's under there is listed out on the agenda. So when you make a motion to approve the consent agenda, that's all you say. You don't list out all those things, because the assumption being that anyone who's gonna be looking at that needs to then check what is on that consent agenda.
so you're approving it all.
Yeah, so for example, if the board packet gets sent out, the agenda gets sent out, and if, part of this could be that, if you want the agendas prepared, earlier, we can do that too, if you feel like you need more time, but, you can always ask me questions ahead of time. You can pull anything off the consent agenda, but people do have to really commit to doing it and doing it the right way.
Well, and making sure they're reviewing
is that-
everything, yeah.
And that, that everyone is, has to review everything, prior to that, the assumption being that you've done that and stuff.
And
But
if there's any issue, we can still bring it up.
you can still pull it off,
Doesn't
and
take
so
it off.
when you just ask ahead of time, is there anything that you want?
Do you have to pull it up according to the way it's written on the agenda?
I don't,
Ahead of time, you have to say ahead of time that you want it pulled off so that you can discuss it.
Couldn't you technically do that at the meeting?
Yeah, you do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I
no,
thought.
so you would see,
okay.
so on the agenda, it will, like, let's say you come into the meeting and the agenda has 5 things on the consent agenda, the financials, whatever, the director's report, whatever. You can say, before you make a motion for the consent agenda, you wanna pull something off. You have a question about the check register, so you
Okay, so
wanna
you
pull
do
that
it
off.
before you.
Right,
oh,
because
okay.
then you're making a motion to approve the consent agenda, so you don't wanna make a motion and then have the consent agenda be voted down because you have a question on, one document
Oh.
there. So you would ask to have that pulled off, and usually what happens is the president or the secretary will ask, does anyone wanna pull anything off the consent agenda? And then you would do that, and then you would say, okay, we're pulling that item off, then you'd make the motion to approve the rest of the stuff on the consent agenda, and then discuss whatever issue you had.
So it's, before you approve it, you're pulling off.
Right, you're letting them
saying,
know that
wanna
I don't want
discuss
this thing on the consent
Okay.
agenda, and then.
It just seemed like it would have been,
Okay.
Right, yeah, no, you pull it off before you make that
before
motion.
you make the, okay.
So if I had a question about, like, say, one check on the check register, can I just email you my
Yes.
question beforehand? So
Yeah.
we don't even have to go through that
Yes.
process?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should give it another shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So let's, I think 6 months is a nice, nice sample kinda, so, November, December, so we'll,
Or we just wanna do it through June.
Sure.
It makes it kind of, so then you've got like 6 or 7
When we last did it, it was the summer months, right?
and they
That
were
was
super light
light.
and everything.
So
Yeah.
it
How
kind
about,
of gets us back to those light months.
Yeah.
that's what I'm
so how about, we will, resume, consent agendas from November through June. And
I can,
reassess,
yeah, that's fine.
okay?
And I can draft some instructions as well, and so that
Well, and I
So
can-
that we're all on the same page.
And I can probably help with them. Would anyone like to them, and because I was messing that up too, like, yeah.
It is a change, so to get used to that, but I feel like, yeah, I'm glad if the board is gonna do it, they're gonna do it for longer, because I do feel like it wasn't a great sample. Just because those meetings happen to be so light, it's like, well, we're saving 30 seconds, so.
Sure, yeah,
Or,
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Trustee Flores, for bringing that discussion. All right, communications, we did get, a very lovely letter. She writes all the letters.
She does, she writes all the.
I mean, and that's a helpful program. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my parents are like, this is not working on my phone. I'm like, it is working. I have to scroll down or whatever. So, I mean, it's a good program. So, but it's a very sweet letter, and it's, I like that she takes the time to do that. It's very nice. So,
And she usually writes me a letter,
Aw.
this time she wrote me the card, she sent Mark a card. So she tries to make sure that she reaches out, and she's got particular people that have been really helpful. But then she also copies me or sends me a separate card, so it's great. Very thoughtful.
all right, so public comments, non-agenda items, it's still just us. So I have 7:46.